Duplessie is his name. Duplessie. Andrew Duplessie.
Yeah, what's going on?
Man, Andrew, I got to tell you, you are on the brink of something absolutely brilliant. Not only are you tapping into short stories again in our history, but what you're doing with them with these QR codes, this is Beatle material, man. This is the kind of stuff that people will take with them for the rest of their life.
Wow, I really appreciate that. That is 100% the goal. You know, I really wanted to blend tech and story, and I'm glad that you nailed it. That is exactly what I was going for.
As that author, how do you keep it at a short story? Because here in the Carolinas, we have a lot of different contests for authors and things, and it's like how do you really keep it in there? Are you using Twitter speak? What's the deal?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to stay short. I feel like some of the stories in this book, or some of even the short movies in this book, could have a longer feature or full book, and so it's hard to stay short. However, I do think just me growing up reading Goosebumps,
Yes.
And the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, that's sort of the style I loved, and I just feel thankful to be able to write it today.
The book is called Too Scared to Sleep. Just the title alone is going to put that in the book bags of a lot of young readers, because I mean we all have faced that in our lifetime.
Totally. And that was really the inspiration. Is I am a terrible sleeper, and often when I wake up, I read. And so I think maybe I am, patient zero of being too scared to sleep.
Do you find yourself wondering what that reader is doing and where and how they're receiving it? Only because nowadays, I mean, I wish I had a smartphone when I was a kid, but no, I went out and I physically got the book. So reading in the middle of the night, just grab the phone and I can read this on my Kindle.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I think, as I was coming up as an author, and this is, of course, my debut novel, what I would do is I would release short stories on Instagram and TikTok, and some of them even went viral on YouTube. And that was a great way for me to get reader feedback and consumer feedback. So a lot of the stories in this book have sort of been battle tested and reviewed by just, followers and fans. To make sure it's the best possible story.
How can the readers get it right? And what I mean by this is that short stories evolve into spoken word, or in radio, we call it water cooler conversation. But when we're describing the story, our interpretation doesn't match the physical word that's in that book. How can we get it right this time? Because that's how important your book is right now.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's hard to share, right. In general, right. Like as a kid, when you're reading scary stories to tell in the dark or Goosebumps, you're not going to take a picture of the text and share it, with a friend. You'd have to bring that to school. You got to go to the library. You got to sit down and read together. So this sort of, speeds up that flywheel. It's like, hey, like I just saw this great story, and then you can text that short movie, or you can post that short movie online. And I'm hoping that creates some fanfare around some of the spooky stories.
Well, you write about real things. I mean, roses that require human blood. I don't know how many times I've lost blood because of a thorn on a rose.
Well, the thorn knows for sure. I write about real things. I think that's really, it's sort of the stuff I see. One of the other, stories I write is about a garbage disposal, or, I spent, most of my career in technology. And so I wrote about VR heads, or the bad side of social media. And so a lot of it is real inspiration.
Well, that makes me wonder if you're not a silent watcher then, or what I call a silent wolf, that you look at life and go, oh, there's a story there. And all of a sudden you begin building those paragraphs.
Oh, man, I'm the guy on the park bench just watching. That's totally me. Not in a creepy way, but that's truly how I observe and build characters. It's just, try to be observant as possible.
So now, for you this is your debut novel. So what happened along the way? Was everything else that you've been creative with, was that the voice of your inner writer? Because now you've got the opportunity, because I always believe that writers are born writers. Everything else follows because they're just looking for another stage.
I think that's so true and well said. And I think it's totally true for me. I, did a bunch of stuff with, building iPhone apps and building different websites. And I love that creative process. But when I started to write, which was really an accident, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like I fell in love with it immediately. And since then, I've spent almost every day writing and just trying to be a better storyteller. When
you're thinking about that reader, are you thinking about your own fear factor? Because we all have that kind of stuff.
100%. I was the kid in the theaters in the back. I was covering my face. I was scared. I was totally scared. I still am scared of watching horror. And so I'm definitely writing it, for myself, or the scared version of myself. all the time.
Your connections to television. Are we going to see a 12-part little series that we can binge watch on one of these streaming channels?
I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers. I think that with the short movies included with each story, it should give producers and scriptwriters a good idea of like what could be.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of the success of the stories on TikTok and Instagram, that data will be valuable to them as they make their decisions.
Just to show you how important it is to a young reader. I mean, I love the way that Hollywood is starting to evolve in the way of making things PG-13 so we can get those young people inside those seats. Because, I mean, if we go R, they're not getting in there. And they're going to try to sneak in, but with reserved seating, they can't get in there. So I love the way that you're making this so real that they feel like that this is part of their world.
Totally, yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel like this is a good book that bridges younger readers or even some adult readers into horror, especially with the holiday coming up, with Halloween coming up. This book, and a lot of my friends are telling me it's like a fun board game almost, where everyone sort of has it around a table and they're scanning the videos, and people watching their friends get spooked. So it's definitely meant to be shared.
Okay, you brought it up. You said a board game. Are you going to do something like that? Because isn't there a movie out right now that started out as a video game?
100%. I think I have to. I think more and more we're seeing this blend of video games like The Last of Us and board games like Jumanji becoming these feature films. And I do think technology, whether it's like video games, is going to blend with that that storytelling aspect. So I would love to do a board game. I think it'd be fun and spooky. Where
can people go to find out more about you and give you some love? Because I'm sure somewhere along the line, you being the person you are, there's going to be some merchandise that they can put up on their walls or carry with them.
Totally, yeah. You can just Google Too Scared to Sleep or my name, Andrew Duplessie. And yeah, I release weekly short stories, romance, sci-fi, horror, you name it. That's where you can find me. Yep.
See, that you can't turn off the creativity, can you?
I can't. It's just always on.
You got to come back to this show anytime in the future, Andrew. The door is always going to be open for you.
I would love to. I really appreciate the time, and have a great weekend.
Well, you be brilliant, okay?
Will do. Thanks.